Welcome to the Deck Dive. Today, we're looking at the world of finance. It's changing fast.
It really is.
Yeah, and digital assets, they're popping up everywhere. Traditional industries, but also, in some really personal ways you might not expect.
Exactly.
So we've got two main things we're digging into. First, a pretty surprising reason why a major public figure jumped into crypto. And second, how one company is doing something quite new, bringing crypto into agriculture, of all places.
Agriculture.
And doing it with a big focus on security, really robust security.
Okay, so our mission here in this deep dive is to pull out the key insights. We want to understand why crypto is being seen as, well, almost a survival tool by some.
Right.
And also, how are companies actually building trust? How are they creating real utility in this, new financial space?
So you can really grasp the foundational shifts.
Exactly. We want you to understand the critical pieces shaping where digital assets are going, and we're pulling this straight from the material we've looked at.
Okay, let's get into it then. First up is this personal story. It really highlights a big shift, I think.
Yeah.
Donald Trump Jr., he's actually talked about cryptocurrency as, like, a vital tool for financial survival, essentially.
Survival, wow.
Yeah, he said his family's experience getting debanked, he called it, after his father became president, that was the trigger.
Debanked. So losing access to banking services.
That's how he framed it. He said their access to traditional banking just seemed to vanish almost overnight. And that experience, well, it made them realize how quickly someone could be shut out of the whole system, the traditional financial system.
And that's insightful because, he explained this wasn't just them jumping on a bandwagon.
Right.
In an interview, he said this experience was the actual reason, the driving force for the Trump organization getting involved in crypto.
So not just a trend follower.
No. And it's more than just, political talk.
Yeah.
It shows the power traditional finance has to include or exclude.
Yeah, definitely.
Which suddenly makes these decentralized options look less like a choice and more like, well, like you said, a necessity.
A perceived necessity for survival.
Precisely. And he also sees the technology, blockchain, as a way to cut down on inefficiencies in the old system.
He mentioned things like title insurance fees, right? Questioning if they're really needed.
Yeah, exactly. Question those kinds of costs.
And what about stablecoins? His view there is interesting, too.
It is. He actually thinks they could help the U.S. dollar.
Help the dollar? How so?
Well, he pointed out that Tether, a major stablecoin issuer, holds a huge amount of U.S. Treasuries.
Ah, okay.
And their own family stablecoin, the USD1, is supposedly backed one-to-one with Treasuries as well.
I see. So connecting it back to traditional assets.
Right. And while he's kind of stepped back from those meme coins tied to his father,
Yeah, you hear about those.
he emphasizes that his focus is on crypto projects with real utility, things that actually do something.
So it's that combination. Perceived need meets practical application, maybe even strengthening existing structures.
That's a great way to put it. A crucial point.
Right.
Okay, so let's pivot a bit.
Right.
Let's talk about a company that's all about utility and security, but in a field you wouldn't immediately connect with crypto.
Agriculture?
Agriculture, EndoDynamic. They're looking at creating their own utility token
Okay.
to fund future projects, basically integrating with this whole digital asset world. But their approach is all about being meticulous, proactive, rigorous security for their tokens.
For investor confidence, too, presumably.
Absolutely. That commitment to security, to transparency, it's central to their whole strategy.
And is that something the wider financial world is noticing?
Oh, definitely. Professionals in banking are increasingly saying this level of seriousness is vital if crypto is going to mature properly.
Okay, that sounds really thought through. How does a company like that in agriculture fit into the bigger predictions about crypto and banking?
Well, if you look at EndoDynamic's structure, it lines up with a few key forecasts.
Like,
for one, they're tapping into that idea that digital assets could be a driver for, next-gen wealth.
the future of money idea.
Yeah, potentially defining it. And that fits with the broader financial community seeing crypto's growing role, especially with younger people.
Right.
And second, by using crypto, they're basically opening doors,
Okay.
making agricultural investment accessible to a whole new crowd.
Younger investors, digital natives.
Exactly. People who might never have considered agriculture before. It's democratizing investment in a very traditional sector. That's a big theme in how crypto might shake up finance.
Wow, okay. Taking something ancient like farming and making it accessible digitally, that's a big leap.
It is.
But, for that to work, people need to feel safe. You mentioned security. What's this secure seed approach they have? What does that actually mean for investors?
It means their commitment to security is, well, it's deep. It goes way beyond just basic blockchain stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
They have strict internal rules. They get comprehensive security audits done on their tokens. They oversee the whole process.
From the code itself.
Right, from the smart contract code all the way to how wallets are managed securely. It's an end-to-end security mindset.
So preventing problems before they happen, not just reacting.
Exactly. Proactively heading off sophisticated attacks, vulnerabilities in the smart contracts. It's about thorough due diligence, public security audits, setting a really high standard for digital integrity.
And that resonates with what banks and institutions want to see.
Absolutely. It echoes that increasing demand from the financial community for solid security and transparency in crypto projects.
So it's not just the token floating out there, it's the whole ecosystem around it. Code, custody, everything.
Precisely. Their framework covers the whole picture. The infrastructure, how they develop things, operational security, even risks in their supply chain.
Supply chain risks. Interesting.
Yeah, it's about holistic risk management, which is critical for digital assets. And their advice on managing the assets themselves is just as strong.
What kind of advice?
We're talking multi-signature wallets, needing multiple keys for a transaction.
Right, multi-sig adds layers of security.
Exactly. Strict rules on who gets keys and how they're accessed, physical security for cold storage.
Keeping assets offline.
Right. Geographical separation of keys, solid recovery plans. They even look at things like multi-party computation, MPC.
That's pretty advanced cryptography, right?
It is. Cutting-edge stuff for secure computations on encrypted data. These are the kinds of practices the financial sector is pushing for to avoid major security failures in crypto.
It sounds very institutional grade.
It is. And for bigger investors, institutions, they use qualified third-party custodians.
With strict requirements.
Oh, yeah. Regulatory compliance, top-notch security, insurance coverage. It really mirrors professional banking standards for keeping assets safe.
Okay, this feels like they're consciously building a bridge, connecting that early, maybe wilder crypto world with the established rules of traditional finance.
That's a good way to see it.
What about the token itself? The tokenomics, how do they build safeguards in there for investors?
Well, their tokenomics approach is detailed. They define the economic models, do financial modeling, lay out clear incentives.
And what about the team? Early investors?
Yeah, detailed vesting schedules and lockup periods for them. The goal is long-term stability, preventing big market dumps.
Right. And what about scams? You hear about rug pulls.
That's a huge concern. And their efforts to prevent that, where developers just vanish with the money, are really important.
How do they do that?
Through transparency about the team, making sure the smart contract code is clean and audited, and ensuring the tokens are distributed widely enough to avoid concentration and potential manipulation.
Okay.
These measures all feed into that growing demand for real investor protection and market integrity in crypto. That's essential for building the trust needed for traditional finance to really engage.
So let's pull this together. What does it all mean for you listening?
We've seen this idea of perceived necessity, like Donald Trump Jr. described, with being debanked, pushing people towards alternatives.
Right. Highlighting ideas like, cutting inefficiencies or how stablecoins might actually prop up the dollar. Then we connected that to a company like EndoDynamic, taking this really practical, rigorous approach.
Very rigorous.
Showing that if traditional industries want to get into digital assets, they can't just meet old security standards. They probably need to exceed them.
That's a key insight.
Especially in a sector like agriculture, doing it through these carefully built security systems, asset management plans, and thoughtful tokenomics.
And that leads us to maybe a concluding thought on what this all implies, more broadly.
Okay.
What we're seeing, I think, is that success in finance going forward isn't just about launching a token. It's not just about a clever idea.
It's deeper than that.
Much deeper. It really depends on a fundamental commitment to security, to transparency, and really understanding this changing financial world in a nuanced way.
So crypto projects are having to act more like banks.
In terms of professionalism, security standards, protecting investors, yes.
Yeah.
That alignment is happening. The future here is being built on trust and security you can actually verify.
Right. So that leaves us with something for you to think about. A final, maybe provocative thought. As all these developments continue in digital assets, insecurity, and accessibility, How might they keep reshaping access, security, and trust in the entire global financial system for everyone, not just high-profile people or certain industries, and maybe in ways we can't even really predict right now?